So, the very people who are passing necessity in their homelands, after comparing the pesos to dollars ratio as an example, decide to immigrate to the land of opportunity to be able to give their family the kind of nutrition and well-being that their family deserves. They go to the embassy and apply for a visa. Many times they are rejected for such futile reasons as not owning property. How can you expect a person to own property if he cannot even afford to feed his family? Come on! Or the embassy takes years in responding, such as I mentioned in part 1. It takes years for those lazy bastards who are processing the applications to get off their silly hands, to shut their mouths from the gossip, and start doing the work of processing documents. You cannot, in all honesty, expect a father who has a sick wife and young children who are starving to tell the wife, I'll be able to buy you medicine 27 years from now when they finally approve my visa. Or you cannot expect him, in all honesty, to tell his crying 1 month old baby to say, I'll give you your baby bottle, I'll give you your milk 27 years from now when I'm finally able to go to the United States and buy the formula that you need or the nutrients that your mother needs to be able to produce nutritious and healthy milk for you and plenty of it so that you won't have to starve. Immigrants don't come here as criminals. They come here looking at opportunities. True, some of them have given immigrants a bad name. It's not to be denied. But the vast majority don't come here as criminals. When there's a need, the people will do what they need to do, whether or not it is approved. If they're passing necessity in their home, they're going to immigrate here one way or the other, regardless, in search of remediating the necessities. To me, an illegal immigrant, and if we think of things logically, anybody who is capable of logical reasoning and aware of these situations I have brought up, an illegal immigrant is not a criminal, he is not a lawbreaker. He is a hero because he's willing to go through all the abuses that this nation dishes out in violation of the American spirit. The immigrant is willing to leave it his all in the heat of the desert, risk death in the heat of the desert, or out of dehydration, just to be able to have some sense, some money he could send home to feed his family. Thus, the illegal immigrant is no worse off than the heroes fighting for this nation. Even though I oppose the war, they're fighting for the concept of this nation. The illegal immigrant is no worse. He is struggling, risking his life, risking abuses to feed his family. There's no difference between our patriots in Iraq and the illegal immigrant who just comes in here to try and feed his family. Both have invaded a foreign territory, but both have legitimate reasons to do so. Or, I take that back, maybe our military men don't have the legitimate reason to invade Iraq. That makes the illegal immigrant more of a hero than the commander-in-chief who called for those forces to go to Iraq in the first place. Well, now why are some of these people now? This leads me to another question I was thinking about the other day. Why do some of these nations have such unemployment that they need to come here illegally? In a way, America is responsible for illegal immigration. We need to get rid of free trade agreements that in theory, in theory, it helps the joblessness in other countries. In practice, it does the opposite. It sets up two classes of joblessness. Okay, I've known of a potter who used to have his own business, and he was very successful in his field, being able to feed his family and his children. And they were able to set up to purchase two different houses in Mexico. That's how his business was. Until a free treaty was signed with the United States and our hardware places like Home Depot started moving over there, selling lighter plastic pottery at lower prices. That potter could not compete with it anymore. Guess what happened? Ta-da! Jobless. Nobody was willing to buy his pots anymore. He's jobless. You know what his situation is right now? He is an illegal immigrant into this country right now. He immigrated here 16 years ago so he could feed his family over there. His family of 5 children and his wife over there in Mexico. He found it hard. So guess what? 4 of his children then migrated here illegally as well to be able to help him raise some money for that. Of course, this happened when they were older. It's ridiculous how that situation became. And that's one way in which joblessness is created abroad. Then we have what's a proper word for it? I'm trying to think of a proper word. The prideful American businesses going into foreign countries and meddling with the other schools' educational law and structure. How boastful. How conceited. Now, research has shown that businesses that go from here to other places, mostly those who go to Mexico, dare go into the school system and tell them, you know what? Let me come in here and teach a course so that when your graduates can have a job in my company. Mind you, these are respectable companies. They go in and meddle those affairs, and those people end up getting money from the education there after all they're teaching, even though they're not qualified to teach, and money from their company. Years go by. Not that many years, 2-3 years. But lo and behold, that company decided it's more cost effective to move the company somewhere else. Guess what just happened? That student at that particular educational institute was trained for a particular job that decided to move elsewhere. So now the student is well prepared to be unemployed. He has all these technical